What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Metal Build F91. This has been out for a little while, but I wanted to take a look at this today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's see what we have inside, shall we? So first we have the manual. So we've got that. And we've got, looks like we've got the beam shield here with the variable beam rifles there, with the beam launcher, his beam rifle here. You've got two beam sabers here. You've got 2, 4, 6, 8 pairs of hands. It looks like you got 2 beam sabers there, and you've got a extra face there. So you've got that. Let's see, we've got the base of the stand that says F91. Of course, you got the stand there, so we've got those. So pretty basic release. Let's take a look and see what we've got here. So of course we have the F91. Looks like you do get, so it looks like you do get 2 of his V-fins there. Looks like you get the thrusters for the backpack there. Those go on his wrist, on his gauntlet there. So you've got that, and then let's pull this guy out and see. Oh yeah. Now, some people have asked me why I didn't get the newer version of the F91 compared to this one. This was the first release, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason why, so he looks pretty good there. The reason why is because based on what I've seen of the newer version of the F91, it had more of a cream yellowish color, and I didn't want that. I wanted a basic white, and so that's why I opted to go with this. This definitely has a gloss finish though. So that's what we've got for the F91. So let's take a look at it a little more closely. So let's take a look at this F91. So first things first, I would say that it has really good decal work here with the F91 there. It's got the Formula Project decals on there, the SNRI, you got the Formula 91 there on the side. So it looks really, really good. I am surprised that this is a gloss finish. I think that the gloss, we haven't seen a pure gloss finish in quite some time. But you've got plenty of decals there on the back. I do like the engines there on the back there as well. And let's see what we got there. So you can lift the back of the calves there. So you've got those. That's probably when he's in his alternate mode there. So you do have that. Looks really, really good. I must admit, you've got like some, I don't know what that is. It looks like it's just like brush painted silver there on the knees. So it looks like you've got that. That's interesting. I think I've seen that done better in current metal builds though. So you've got that. It's got the feet there. Looks really, really solid. For the V-fin, I would say that I don't know about a brush gold. I'd either want it like electroplated or just like a pure yellow one. I don't know. But I think overall, I think that it looks good. I can kind of tell that this is a little bit older. Of course, now he's got his, oh, that's how you open his mouth there, by hitting the top of his head. So that's interesting. This is the one that goes, that can change. So that's an interesting gimmick there. I wasn't expecting that. I just happened to hit the head there. So it looks really, really solid, I must say, at first glance. So I would say overall that the F91, he looks really, really solid, especially considering that this one is an older version. I want to say this one came out, I'd have to look at the date, but it came out quite a while ago. So I'd say at least over 5 years ago. So I'll be interested to see what this guy has to offer. So let's take a look at his accessories next. So let's take a look at the Gundam F91's accessories. He doesn't have a ton, but we're going to take a look at what he's got. So first up, we have his beam rifle. So as you can see, looks pretty nice. This is also in a gloss finish as well. And then it's got the decals for SNRI there and the Earth Federation Space Force. So you've got that. You've also got the fact that this will sway both sides there. So you do have that for the beam rifle. And then next up, we have the variable speed beam rifle. So this is pretty much kind of like, think of the railguns on the Freedom. So it's kind of like that. So this one will extend as well. Let's see if it extends any more. Then that doesn't look like it. But you've got that for both. And he's got 2 of those. So he'll have those on both hips or both sides. But I would say overall that it does look nice on it. So I do like how those look. So those look pretty cool. I like this blue too. It's like a purplish, it's like a deep blue or a purplish blue on there. So that's what you have for the variable beam rifles. And then you have the beam launcher. So this looks really, really good. I like the detail work that they did here. You've got some gold in here with some gunmetal gray here on the cannon part. You've got this. So you've got the handle there. So you've got some good detail work in here with the decals here and here for the Formula series. Does the back, it does come off. So you got your ammo pack there. So you do have that. So overall, I think that this one looks really, really good. So that's what you have for the beam launcher. And then next up, we have the beam shield. So you do have this. This has the part that's connected on there. So this is interesting. I would say that generally speaking though, this looks kind of flimsy to me. So it's very flexible. I would say that this is not, it's transparent, but there's like no kind of, you know, like in the seed ones, they have a little bit more like silver in here to kind of make this distinct. And on this one, there's not really anything there. Plus it's got this, that lint, I think that's lint on there. But yeah, so that's what you have for the beam shield. And then next we have the beam sabers. So these are not very transparent though. I mean, they kind of are, but not really. It seems like I've seen them a lot different in Seed and 00. And it's got silver here, but I don't know. It just doesn't look all that great to me. It's okay, but you've got that. And then you do have the hilts for them. Now the hilts for these are actually very, very tiny. So if you see it, I can get that to focus there. That's super short for a beam saber there. So that's what you have there. So that's not that long. So usually I'm used to them being a lot longer there for the beam saber hilts, but it is what it is. So that's what you have for the beam sabers. And then we have the alternate face for the F91. Now this, if I'm not mistaken, is the regular head, because you know how the one that's on him, that one can kind of transform and it has kind of like the mustache style version on that one. This one is like just if you want the regular version of the F91. He also doesn't have the crease or the slit that goes down the middle, so he can transform like that. So that's what you have for the head for the F91. I do like the detail that they've done here, but also like the eyes, it just looks like a sticker almost, like on a master grade. I don't know, it seems like, I don't know if I like that all that much. I would have preferred that to be more like of a transparent plastic or something, but that's what you have for the F91 head. And then lastly, for the hands, he has 5 sets of hands. He's got the closed fist on him, of course. We have his semi-open ones here. You have the ones for the beam launcher there. You have ones for the beam sabers here, and then you have the trigger finger hands there. So that's what he's got for the hands. So let's take a look at the F91's articulation. First, for the head, he can look up. Now that is his neck there. He can look down, all right. Does he have any side to side? I would say no, it's all coming from his neck. I'm sure that there's a ball joint in here, but it's really just the neck that's moving, not the actual ball joint where the face is at all. Yeah, that's kind of strange how they did that, but there's no real side to side or anything like that, which I'm quite surprised for. Let's see if he can do 360. I would say no, he can get almost 90 degrees, but like I said, the movement is at the bottom of the neck, not the ball joint on the top. And that's how you change out his head there. So kind of limited movement there on the head, unfortunately, but that's what you have for the head. For the shoulder, he can raise that up a little bit higher than shoulder's length, but not by much. It can go in and out, so he can do that. Can he spin 360? Looks like he can, even though mine's a little stiff. All right, at the shoulder part, right at that break where the F91, so you can lift that up, so that will kind of give you a little bit more arm movement there on the bicep, so I like that. And then for the actual shoulder itself, it kind of looks like it's on its own little thing, so it will give you a little bit of leeway there for the shoulder, so you do have that as well. For the bicep, let's see if he'll spin 360. Looks like he will. Yep, you can get that 360 there. Let's take a look at the elbow. Let's go ahead and turn that up. And then he does have that, so he's got a double hinge here and here, so he's got that for the elbow. And then for the forearm, it does look like this will spin 360, even though it's got the beam shield emitter thing on the outside of it there, but you do have that also will go in and out. So you do get a little bit of leeway there. Then for the wrist, it will get you slightly up, down, no inwards, no outwards. So it's just up and down, and that's just giving you a little bit there, not a ton. This flap does not move either. So very limited range of motion for the wrist. It's okay, but I've definitely seen better. For the chest area, it will go in, all right? So you kind of get that movement there. It will go back, so it will go back some. So that's good, and that's really just coming from this back part here for both of those here. So you've got that. Let's see if it's got side to side. It does look like it's got a little side to side there, and that is up at this part here. That's where a lot of that articulation is coming from. Can he spin 360? That's pretty tough there. Let's see. Let's spin it the other way. Whoops. As his front skirt just pops off. I would say no, he can get about 90 degrees, but as you see here, this is hitting the front of the front skirt there. So it looks like he can only get between 45 and 90 degrees. You might be able to do it, but I probably wouldn't chance that. For the front skirts, these will move independently of each other, so you do have that. The side skirts will move up and down. It looks like you have this part that actually comes up, there. So you got that comes out. Same on this side, they will come out, as you can see, if you put too much on there, but you do get a little bit of articulation for the side skirts. Let's take a look at the back here. And at the back, this is one solid piece here, so I doubt you're gonna get much. You can get that up, but that's about it. So these are not separated or anything like that there. So that must just be the design. So that's what you have for the front and back skirts. For the legs, let's go ahead and lift up this front skirt. Let's see what we can see here. It looks like you'll get about 45 degrees without doing anything. It looks like, especially if you're going in, it's gonna hit the bottom part here. So I probably wouldn't chance that without scratching this front part of the thigh up. But you'll get about 45 degrees on the thigh. Let's take a look and see it up. And I would say, that's maybe about, let's say 115-ish would probably be my guess on that. Let's take a look at the knee and see. All right. And you definitely have the V here, so that's always good. And you just got, this is his knee part here and how that's all kind of painted silver. That kind of just reminds me of like a normal master grade though. So that I don't really see anything special about it, but I mean, it looks okay, but that's what you have for the knees. For the back of the calves, you do have these vents that will come up. So you can do that on both sides as well. So you do have a little bit of articulation with those. That's probably when he's in his alternate mode, but you can do that way. So that's what you have for the back of the calf. And then for the foot, this will go up. All right, it will go down. You're not really gonna get much side to side. All the side to side is coming in from this ankle here. So you can kind of see that moving in and out, but that's what you've got there, nothing in the back. And then for the cover, this will move up and down as well there. So not as much articulation on the ankles as I'm used to seeing, but considering this is an older metal build, I'm not surprised. So that's what we have for the feet. So that's what we have for articulation for the F91. I would say that generally speaking, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. The lack of articulation in the neck, just the way that they did that. Now that could have to do with the transformation of the faceplate, and maybe that's the reason why they did it. But I'm not really liking the articulation for the neck area there. The knees were okay. The abs were okay. Everything was just okay. I would like a little bit more articulation in the feet there a little bit. But overall, I would say that generally speaking, this is kind of showing its age. I think that what they're able to do in modern day metal builds, I think is a lot better than this. But considering that this is about 7 to 8 years old, if I'm not mistaken, it's okay for what it is. So I don't hate the articulation, but it definitely could be better. So here we have the F91 fully assembled. Now I must say that all put together, he looks really, really good. I think that if you are a fan of this mobile suit, I think that you will definitely like this. However, I want to go over some of the gimmicks and stuff that he has for him. First off, he's got the holder for the beam launcher here. Now it's just this peg right here. It's just this peg right here. And as you can see, it's a little loose. So this is supposed to fasten in here. How this comes out, you're gonna pull this out and then you'll just kind of put it in there like this. And it's supposed to go in this small little hole here. If I can kind of get him up there, there we go. And then it's supposed to snap in like that, but I will say that it is pretty loose. So if you hit that or there's an earthquake or something like that, that's definitely coming out there. But you do have that for the beam launcher. Also, his beam sabers are stored on his side skirts. So you can open these up here. And then if you look in here, you've got both beam sabers on both sides there. So you can pull those out. So you can keep those stored in here. Also, on the other side, you can have kind of like his beam emitter for his beam shield. If you can open this here, let me see if I can get this open. There we go. And we can get that open there. And then you can take this beam emitter. Then what you'll do is you'll just take this, and then this will actually store, you have the two holders that you have on the arm in there, and then you can put this in there. So this can actually snap in place. And just put that in there just so you can see it kind of like that. Boom, and you can close those up. So you do have those two gimmicks for the side skirts. And then he's got two other major gimmicks. The other one is gonna be the head. Now I took the head, the original head that we had off that actually does a transformation. I actually took that one off, and that one is this one here, because I wanted, if you don't want this little split in here, you don't have to, because that's what that was for. And you can actually take that off as well. So what you would do in order to transform this, as you kind of pull the sides open, you push this up, and then that kind of comes out like that there. So you do have how that works, and then you clamp that back together, put the V-fin on there, and then you can go with that one. And then you can also, I haven't seen a way to pull this part off, but I know for a fact that you can do that because I did that one off screen, but you can do that. So it looks pretty cool. I don't necessarily like to have the split in the middle, but I understand why. That's really the only way that you're gonna be able to do it, unless you're gonna take off the faceplates all the time. So, and it doesn't look bad. It's just, I would prefer to, you know, be a solid Gundam look there. And then you snap those back together, boom. And so that's what you have for the two heads. And then lastly, let's take a look at his VSBRs here. So what you'll notice here is that this is actually on a sliding track here. And so how you move these forward is you actually can move these, push these down, and they kind of rotate that way. So you can have those up. It's kind of just like the rail cannons on the Freedom. So it's just that it's higher, it's up higher. It's not on his hips, it's on his back of his shoulders there. But you can move those, even though I don't really like how that goes. It's a little flimsy with this, it's a little loose, and this is brand new, but you can move this, slide that up and down as well. Also, the fins will come out this way as well when it's firing, and then this will extend like that there. So you do have quite a bit that you can do with that, but you do have those. But like I said, they're just a little loose on mine, and this is brand new. This was not a used version of the F91, so I think that probably could be a little bit tighter, but I think having this sliding gimmick, and I don't know if that would hold up over time either, just due to the design. And you just kind of have to put some strength in there like that for that. So that's what you have for the VSBRs. And then for his shoulders, in order to do like his alternate mode where the faceplate comes out, let's just call it the hyper mode for now, you do have to have the fins out here, but they can be hard to kind of get a handle on. So I'm gonna use my little trusty tool here and try to push these out. But you see how those are kind of slipping out, but you're gonna need to get some strength on there. And then you can flex these out a little bit, spread those out. If I can get my fingernail in there, I don't really have nails or anything. But you can spread these out, and then you would change the face kind of like this. All right, so you would have those out all the way there, and then I would probably just pop off the head here. Matter of fact, let's just take this whole contraption out here. All right, and then we'll transform his other head here. So let's pull that back out, and then push that up. That has that come back, snap that back together. And then let's take the V-fin here from the other one and then put this one on here, just like this here. And then we can snap that in there. And so if you want kind of like his alternate, like hyper mode there, and have that out. These are plastic though, these are not metal. They don't feel metal anyway. And so they've got a little bit of give on them, but that's how you would kind of do his hyper mode. Now, what I've noticed is that this part here wants to slip in if you move this. Can you see how that's moving in and out like that? So just be cognizant of that if you do get this F91. But I think overall, I think that it is pretty good. Now, one last thing I do want to go over is go over his hands here. Now, it took me quite a bit of strength to put this trigger finger hand on here. And the reason why is because of this peg here and how they did this. Let me see if I can pull this off. And once I got it on there, I got it on there pretty tight, like that. But you have just this little peg here. And what I've noticed is that this is a very big pain to kind of put this all on there. I really had to put some strength on it. And then also what it is this part here wants to slide off because there's not really anything to grab there. So just be cognizant of that when you're messing with the hands. I found that the holes for the hands are quite small. And so I'm thinking that, there we go. We finally got that one snapped in there. So that one wasn't too bad, but especially for the first time, it took me quite a while to do that. But I think overall, I would say that it's decent if you like what it does. I think that it could do things better, especially I'm looking at this through 2025 eyes, not 2016 or 2017 eyes. So for 2025, I think that this would definitely be done a lot better. I would probably have these either chromed out, or I would have this done to where this is not brush painted, the silver joints and stuff, and then having these probably be metal instead of plastic, having this be a little bit tighter and not so loose and flimsy there, and definitely the holder for the beam launcher, definitely make sure that that is a little bit more secure from that. So that's what you have for the F91 fully assembled, and I would say overall he's still worthy to be in the collection. So what we're gonna do now is, this guy is relatively tiny, and so I want to just give you a glimpse about how small he actually is. So we're going to just do a few quick size comparisons, so we'll do that next. So lastly, before we wrap this review up, I wanted to go over just some size comparisons for the F91. We do know that in the Universal Century, the Gundam F91 is one of the smallest mobile suits and definitely one of the smallest Gundams in the whole Universal Century timeline. And so I just wanted you to see what his height is. So I would say from foot to probably the top of his head, all right, I would probably say he's about, I would say 6 3/4 inches. You may go 6 7/8 if you're counting maybe the very top of the V-fin. So he's small, but he's just not, he's definitely still bigger than a high grade or something like that. But just for some size comparisons, let's bring out his predecessor, of course, the Crossbone X1. So the Crossbone X1 is roughly, he's slightly taller than him, but not by much. So you do have that. And technically, if you're going by the Universal Century timeline and all of that, his model number is the F97. I could get into why that is, but that's pretty much this predecessor and all that stuff. But you'd have to get into the story of the Crossbones and all that. But that's what you have for the Gundam X1. And then let's bring out kind of like more of your contemporary regular size Gundams in the Universal Century. This is the Zeta Gundam. So as you can see, the Zeta Gundam kind of towers over the F91. So the F91 is definitely smaller than the Zeta and more of your classic Universal Century style Gundams. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a look at how they look. A shelf. And I think that still, even though this one does kind of show its age for me, I still think that there's still, especially if you're a fan of the F91. Now there is another version of the F91, and that's the Harrison one, I guess. That's the one that's like navy blue. If I can find a picture of it, I'll put it up in the video. But there is another version of this, and then there was also another release of the F91 that's more of a matte finish. But that's what we have. So let's get to final thoughts. So, final thoughts on this guy, the F91. Now, this is one of the older metal builds. It's not super old, so it's not like the 007G or the Exia, but it is still relatively, this is about a 7 or 8 year old mold. And I will say that especially doing this one and the Exia, you can kind of see how those specific older metal builds are showing their age. The articulation isn't really as good. Even like the paint work is a lot better done these days than it was back then. Even though I like this gloss finish on it, I don't really have any issue with it. It's definitely got decals and things of that nature, but I would say that the couple of things that it lacks, I think, at least in my personal opinion, is that I think that the articulation isn't as good as it should be. Now, it was great for the time in which it was released, but I wouldn't say in comparison to some of the newer metal builds that these are as good. I would say that the paint work is a little, you can kind of tell with the silver on this one that this one's kind of brush painted. And I don't know, I think maybe even a chrome plating would have been better or something like that. I'm not sure. Also, the holding for the beam launcher, that thing is very, very flimsy. If that gets blown off any which way, it's falling off. Like that is not held very secure on there. Also with the beam saber and the beam shield, I don't know, I just think that the detail work is kind of lacking as well as far as, you know, how they do it now versus back then. Back then, you would just kind of get these kind of like clear, translucent plastic, you know, things for beam weaponry. And now there's a little bit more to it. Even though it's something little, I still consider that to be a knock against it. Also, I think the gimmick with the face, the gimmick with the face I think is okay. I don't really have a problem with it. The swing mechanism for the VBRSs or the, you know, the beam rifles that are on his back, those are okay. You know, for me, it's just okay. Now, the thing about the F91, as far as I know, it's not really a very popular suit to begin with. I rarely ever hear anybody when they're listing their top 5 or top 10 mobile suits ever mention the F91. You know, it's just from a movie. It was supposed to be a series, and then it ended up not being one, and they ended up making it into a movie. And so you don't really hear too many people talking
about the F91 all that much. But I think overall, I think this does the job. It's definitely not bad, and it's definitely not, even though I don't think it's up to 2025 standards, I still think that it's still quite good, all things considered. And there is an MSV option set. If you guys saw my Japanese haul, you guys know that I have that. So more than likely, I will get to that sometime in the future. Overall, I would say out of 10, I would probably give this one like an 8. I think that it's solid. I would say that the Exia is a little bit better than this one. Also, the fact that this one is smaller than a lot of the other mobile suits, it may be something that would turn a lot of people off because, you know, it doesn't really have a really big shelf presence like some of the other mobile suits that we've gotten in the Metal Build line. But I think overall, I still think that it's solid. And if you are a super fan of the F91, then I would probably say this might be one of the better ones that you can get. You don't hear too many people asking about an F91. I hear more people asking about the F90 than the F91, to be honest. But anyways, so that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Send this out to all the Metal Build fans and all the Gundam fans, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.